Sometimes life gives you lemons, and that is exactly what we have here, because today we are talking about a few pieces of Vancouver Canucks news that aren't really like the biggest deals in the world. I mean, one of them kind of is, but not really. And then we're talking about some roster transactions as well, because the Canucks did do some moving around of their player base on this day. So, starting out today's conversation, well, let's go over actually what happened within the Canucks organization, because we had ourselves two moves that were made simultaneously. Take a look at this. Earlier today, GM Patrick Allvin announced that defenseman Mark Friedman has been assigned to the AHL's Abbotsford Canucks for conditioning, and Linus Karlsson has been assigned to Abbotsford normally. So, this is, on the surface, a very small piece of news. It's not really that big of a deal. Two players that weren't really getting too much playing time are getting sent down to Abbey, albeit in differing capacities. But if you wanted to go out there and think about what this may mean, there are a few extra conversations that can be brought up, and that would make sense if you were to spin it in certain ways. Starting out with Mark Friedman. Now, Friedman hasn't played at all for the Vancouver Canucks ever since, I think it was like the end of November. Ever since Zadorov got traded for, Mark Friedman has been pretty much just the main press box guy number one. And honestly, it's not surprising. I mean, the guy had 1 point in 18 games played after being acquired by Vancouver from the Pittsburgh Penguins and their farm team. But Mark Friedman, all things considered, was a pretty fine defenseman. Definitely nothing too special, but definitely nothing too bad either. He was definitely an option that was able to move well. He made some breakout passes that I thought were nice, and even though he didn't really have much of an offensive ceiling, he was there and playing the 12 to 13 minutes a night that he was asked to. There's no real complaints here with the way Mark Friedman was as a Vancouver Canuck. But because he's been off the playing field for the better part of a month and a half pretty much, there is reason for the Vancouver Canucks to go out there and send him down. This is not a waiver situation. Because he's getting sent down on a conditioning stint, he is going to be down there for about 2 weeks max, and he'll be able to play with the Abbotsford Canucks, just get everything going again, get the rust off, and allow himself to actually get into game action. So he'll be over there in Abbotsford, pretty interesting depth defenseman who maybe will get himself a top role with the baby Canucks, who really knows. But there are a few people going out there and asking, okay, what does this mean? Is there like a trade coming soon? Is there another name that's going to enter the mix here? If Patrick Allvin is, let's say, thinking about trading Friedman away for an upgrade on defense, do they want to give him some games, give him some reps, give him some time in the AHL to get his body back up to speed before sending him off? Who really knows? There may be some trades out there for Friedman that could give him better playing opportunities in the NHL. There definitely are teams around the league that have worse D-cores than Vancouver, and Friedman actually being a serviceable enough option to suit up for the Canucks in 18 games and look fine in the process definitely bodes well for a guy who could help out a struggling defensive team, whomever it is that may need some extra support. So if the Canucks are in a position where they're sending him down, they want him to get more reps, they can trade him away to some other team, open up a roster spot, or if they wanted, get a better defenseman. Let's say it's like Friedman and a prospect for some better upgrade on D or something like that. Or if you wanted to flip it, say, okay, a team really just needs defensive support. Maybe Friedman and a pick for a middle to top six forward that can come over to Vancouver and help them out. There are a lot of options here. But it all starts with actually giving Friedman the proper opportunities to suit up and get some reps, which is where he is going with this. As for Linus Karlsson getting sent down, this is not a conditioning stint, this is just regular old getting sent down. Karlsson has been one of the best players in the AHL, so seeing him actually get the opportunity once more with the Abbey Canucks is going to be nice. He was fine, I'd say, when he was with the main Vancouver team. He didn't play too much. He only had 4 games played, but he was fine when he was in this role. He's definitely still developing, and sure, he is 24 years old, so he's like right on the precipice of being in his prime, which aligns with the point production he's able to get in the AHL, 23 points, 25 games played so far. This is, if you wanted to do the trade tree going back up in time, this player is technically the Vancouver Canucks what is it, like, eventual evolution from Alex Burrows, because they traded Burrows for Dahlin from the Senators, then they traded Dahlin to San Jose for this Linus Karlsson deal. This is a long time coming, and for Carlsson, I feel like it'd be very rewarding for many Canucks fans to see him actually succeed at the NHL level at some point, considering the trade tree and the unsigned Burrows thing and how it all evolved into this. But either way, Carlsson getting sent down, I mean, if the Canucks have 12 forwards on their roster, they don't really need an extra guy in him, then okay, that makes sense. They needed extra bodies for the road trip just in case, but now that they're back home, send Karlsson to the AHL, have him play a few games in Abbey, and same thing could be said for Mark Friedman. But other than that, there was another very interesting piece of NHL-related news that goes over Vancouver Canucks head coach Rick Tocchet. Take a look at this. The NHL tweeted this out earlier today, but it is the preliminary Jack Adams Award and how all the voting seems to be going at the halfway point of the season. Take a look at this. 15 NHL.com writers casted their votes for the Jack Adams Coach of the Year, awarded on a 5-4-3-2-1 basis. On the honorable mentions, you have yourselves guys like Paul Maurice for the Florida Panthers and Chris Knoblauch of the Edmonton Oilers. In 5th place, you have Jim Montgomery of the Boston Bruins. In 4th place, Peter Laviolette of the New York Rangers. 3rd place, you've got John Tortorella of the Philadelphia Flyers. 2nd place, you've got Rick Bowness of the Winnipeg Jets. And in 1st place, you have Rick Tocchet, Vancouver Canucks head coach, 70 points on the voting right here, and right now he is the frontrunner for the Jack Adams Award, Coach of the Year in the National Hockey League. Now, this list is kind of funny, admittedly, because Chris Knoblauch, seeing him on here, I get it, you know, 10-game win streak for the Oilers, big bounce back after Jay Woodcroft got fired, but at the same time, I feel like it didn't necessarily need to be Knoblauch himself to get the Oilers back to where they are. They are so talented and so top-heavy that they were bound to rebound eventually. But then the other ones here, Paul Maurice, yeah, Florida Panthers, they're a pretty good team. They made the finals last year. Jim Montgomery's going out there with a Boston team that is still good. Peter Laviolette of the Rangers, yep, that's a good one. Tortorella of the Flyers has been really underrated. That team has defied all expectations this year. Same thing could be said about Bowness and the Jets, and then Vancouver and Rick Tocchet. It is interesting, though, because the Jets and the Flyers, I feel like their upticks have been so good. And Vancouver's has been in that same boat as well. It is kind of intriguing to me how the Canucks are up there, like 70 points on a 5-4-3-2-1 basis. Bonus is at 45 and Tortorella's at 40. Like, Rick Tocchet has such a big lead in the minds of these NHL.com voters for the Coach of the Year that it is kind of interesting to see why that lead is as big as it is. Not that I'm disagreeing with it, it's just kind of intriguing, because you could very well say, like, yeah, Bowness has done an amazing job with this Jets team. Tortorella has turned the ship in Philadelphia for a team that was supposed to be worse than Vancouver's, so the Canucks being so high up here, I like it, but it is kind of interesting. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether or not Rick Tocchet is this much better of a coach compared to everybody else, and if he deserves that Coach of the Year award. Reminder that the last time the Vancouver Canucks won the Jack Adams Award, it was Alain Vigneault in 2010-2011 when the team went to the Stanley Cup freaking finals. Now, of course, we know that the voting and everything is done before the playoffs begin, but still, it is a funny thing to note. How the Vancouver Canucks have so many guys that could be eligible for these awards. You've got Hart conversations with Pettersson and Hughes. You've got that Norris conversation with Quinn Hughes. Brock Besser is probably not going to catch up to Austin Matthews for the Maurice Richard. Thatcher Demko, though, right there with Connor Hellebuyck, you could debate for that Vezina. And then Rick Tocchet, Jack Adams, it's right there on the poll. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jack Adams voting, whether or not Rick Tocchet should be this high up here, and what are your thoughts as well about the demotions of guys like Mark Friedman and Linus Karlsson? Do you see any extra moves coming out here? What are your thoughts on the Canucks making these transactions? The comment section is your floor. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this Vrashashros 99, and bye.